Okay. Nice. Okay. Just waiting on some people to join. So for those of you who are carrying on with these sessions, since they're quite tight, since they're 30 minutes each, do your best to try to be very prompt getting into the session if you can. There were some questions in between, and one that I think is really, really relevant to walking practice and standing practice in particular came up. Somebody asked, I have more intense sensations on the foot that I'm standing on when I'm walking. Yeah. So you plant this foot and you feel the ground and all the muscles are moving and so forth. So there's a lot more sensation in the standing foot as opposed to the one that's stepping forward. And they said, is it okay that my mind is switching back and forth between the standing foot and the, whichever foot basically has more weight on it? And in brief, the answer is no. So think about what you know of meditative training up to this point. In general, if you're training in concentration from the point of view of a serious meditator, you're learning to place your attention somewhere and keep it where you put it. So where did you put your attention? What is the object of meditation in this case? It's both legs from here down, right? That's the object. There should be, you're going to have 20% of your awareness or something on your vision, etc., so that you don't fall over. And maybe another 10% on the rest of your body, so you don't fall over if you're walking. But at least, let's say, somewhere in the ballpark of 70 or 80% of your attention is from here to here on both legs. If your attention moves off of that by doing this, and one of your legs disappears from your awareness, are you still holding the same object? No, you're holding a different object now, which is half of the object you were holding a minute ago. It's a bit like asking, well, I started my intensive breath meditation on my left nostril, and then halfway through there was more sensation on my right, so I switched to the right. Right? You lost the object of meditation. You set the intent to meditate on the left nostril, and then you changed to the right because you were too bored with the left, or because there was something more interesting happening on the left. Or if you were meditating on both nostrils as the object of meditation, and then halfway through the left nostril had more sensation, so you decided to focus just on the left, you've lost the object of meditation. The object of meditation is whatever you have set the mind on for that session. And anything else your mind does, besides remain with the objects you've selected, is losing the object of meditation. Okay? So when you decide on whatever your object of meditation is going to be for that particular session, in this case, maybe it's just your foot, right? Maybe it's just both of your feet for that session. I'll move my hands down here. So maybe you can imagine these are my feet. This is what I'm observing the whole time, is just my feet and the movement of both feet. If one of my feet disappears, it's a different object. Like, it's pretty obvious when it's visual, right? This is not the same object as this, right? Or if the other one disappears, that's not the same object. Now I'm just focused on this. Half of my object is missing. So whatever you've selected as the object of meditation, whether it's both feet or it's everything below the knee, yeah, that should remain in your awareness until the end of the session. If half of your object disappears, you've lost the object of meditation. Okay, so what you should become aware of then is that when you step down on this foot, that the foot that's not pressing has less sensation. But you shouldn't lose the foot that has less sensation. You should just become aware that there's less sensation or different sensation in the foot that's not touching the ground. Yes? And then you carry on from there. Okay, since our minds are already pretty warmed up in terms of being ready to drop into a meditative state, let's do some body scanning, and then we'll go back to doing walking meditation. So we'll do a brief body scan, not a brief, but let's see. We're at 6 minutes. Right, okay. Okay, set your posture. Okay. Start with the left big toe. Middle, next toe, second toe. Third, fourth, fifth. Pad of the foot. Top of the foot in the arch. The heel. The ankle. Bottom half of the calf. Upper half of the calf. Bring the mind into the knee. Now, just for a moment to prepare us for later, observe everything from the toenails of the foot to the knee. Okay, now first half of the thigh. Second half of the thigh. And bring the mind into the joint, the hip joint. Move to the other leg, big toe, second toe, third, fourth, fifth, pad of the foot, top and bottom of the foot, the heel. Bring the mind into the ankle. The first half of your calf. Second half of your calf. Bring the mind into the knee. To prepare for walking meditation later, let your mind now fill from the knee joint all the way to the toenails. First half of the thigh, second half of the thigh, inside the hip joint. Front of the hips, back of the hips, the anus, perineum, and sexual organs, the waist channel, the waist belt, rather, the diaphragm belt, and the upper chest belt. Since we're doing this in abbreviated fashion, just do your whole left shoulder, bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and back of the hand, thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, right shoulder in its entirety, bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and back of the hand, thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, first third of the neck, second third of the neck, and the upper third of the neck. Place the mind inside the joint between the neck and the skull. Very briefly, both ears, both eyes, the nose, the entirety of the inside of the mouth and throat, your face, your scalp, let the mind rest on the most intense sensations at the top of the scalp. And then slide your awareness down the spine. And breathe into the lower belly naturally for a few breaths. Okay, let's come to a standing position. And we're going to do about 5 minutes of standing practice and then walk. So once again, set your posture. Standing on railroad tracks about either hip distance or shoulder distance apart. Big weight on the perineum, pulling the weight down into the legs. The weight is distributed between the front of the heel and the back of the toe pad. Chest is not risen and not dropping. It's in a natural position. Set the shoulders. Relax the arms. Drop the chin. And stand. Put the awareness in the feet on both sides. In the first half of the calves, the second half of the calves, both knees, first half of the thighs, second half of the thighs, inside both hip joints, front of both hips, the back of both hips, including the buttocks, slide to the tailbone, anus, perineum, and the sexual organs. The waist belt, the diaphragm belt, the upper chest belt, bring your attention to the left shoulder in its entirety. Bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and fingers, other side, shoulder in its entirety, bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and fingers, the first third of the neck, second third of the neck, and the upper third of the neck. The joint between the neck and the head. Move to the face and all the sensory organs at the same time. Again, just the tactile sensations. Inside the mouth. And your scalp. Stay where you are, but to provide a little bit more detail, if you look at the top of my head, here's the center of the top of my head, I believe. And if I were to divide it in half, right? If I were to divide my head in half, then this point, the back third, is about the place at which my skull comes to rest on my spinal column, which is in the back half of my neck here. right? So that's the point at which I'm raising the head, and that runs at a fairly straight line down through the body to the perineum underneath. So that's the line that I'm pulling. And it's actually just slightly in front of the spine, that whole line, for those who are interested. Okay, now let me see how we're doing on time. Good. Now place all of your attention into everything. It's up to you. Either your ankle downwards into both feet, or your knee downwards all the way to the toenails, right? So from the toenails to the ankles, or from the toenails all the way up to the knees. And once you've filled the awareness up there, move slowly again. And we'll do 10 minutes of walking practice. And only go as fast as you can without losing the awareness of both legs, even though the sensations on the planted leg might be more than the one that's moving. Maintain the awareness of both legs from here down or from here down. Yes? Now for the second half, make your pace a little bit faster, a little bit more natural, but only as fast as you can go without losing the awareness of both feet or of both feet from the ankle to the toes. Okay. Just stand for a minute or so, And breathe into the lower abdomen. And put your attention in the lower abdomen. Okay. Our next session is at 10 o'clock. Feel free to read the instructions or to read any of the chapter materials from the previous discussions in between. Next time, we're going to try to transition from just being aware of the feet or everything below the knee up to level 2, which is focusing on the extremities. So if you'd like to review that, again, pretty simple. You're just trying to get the awareness to get all the way to the nail beds or the fingertips or the nails of the hands, the feet, and then the top of the head. And this will allow you to start spreading your awareness through the whole body. Fairly simple. So that's the technique we'll mainly be focusing on in the next session, but we'll probably do some body scanning again just to get the mind set up in the best possible way. Okay, see you in about 30 minutes.